Okay, I want to start by describing something very specific. It is Sunday evening. You have had a weekend, maybe a good one, maybe a quiet one. And at some point in the afternoon, let us say around 4 or 5 o'clock, something shifts.
The light changes.
The light changes. The feeling of the day changes. And this kind of low, quiet heaviness starts to settle in. Not quite sadness, not quite anxiety, something in between.
I know exactly what you are talking about. It happens to me almost every week.
And if you have ever experienced this, and most people have, you might have wondered why. Why does Sunday feel different from Saturday? Why does this particular feeling show up at this particular time every week?
Because it is so consistent, like clockwork. Saturday evening feels fine. Sunday evening feels like something is ending.
And today, that is what we are talking about. The Sunday feeling. What it is, where it comes from, and what you can actually do with it.
I want to say first, if you are listening to this and you know exactly what we are describing, you are not alone. This is one of those things that a lot of people experience and almost no one talks about.
Right. You do not usually turn to someone on Sunday evening and say, "I am having that Sunday feeling again." You just feel it. Maybe scroll your phone. Maybe make dinner. Try to push it away.
It is very easy to just try to push it away.
Okay, so let us name it properly. The Sunday feeling is not one single emotion. It is more like a mixture of several things happening at the same time.
What are the ingredients?
The first ingredient is something called anticipatory dread. The word anticipatory, anticipatory, means related to expecting something in the future. Dread, dread, is a feeling of fear or strong worry about something that is going to happen.
So, anticipatory dread is the feeling of dreading something before it has even arrived.
Exactly. On Sunday evening, Monday has not happened yet. But your brain is already running it, already thinking about the alarm, the commute, the inbox, the week ahead. And that thinking creates a feeling, even though the thing itself is still 12 or more hours away.
It is like your brain is previewing a movie you do not want to watch.
And you cannot turn the preview off. Because the brain is very good at imagining the future, and very bad at distinguishing between imagining something stressful and actually experiencing something stressful.
The second ingredient, I think, is guilt. Weekend guilt. About the things you did not do.
Yes. Talk me through that one.
Okay, so at some point during the weekend, most people have a list, maybe not written down, just in their head, of things they were going to do. Exercise. Call that person back. Start that thing they have been putting off. Clean the apartment. Have a relaxing, restorative time that leaves them feeling refreshed.
And then the weekend happens.
And the weekend happens, which is usually not exactly that. You rested, but not in the right way. You did some things, but not the ones on the list. You had a fine time, but maybe not the productive, meaningful weekend you had imagined on Friday evening.
And by Sunday afternoon, you can see the gap.
The gap between the weekend you planned in your head and the weekend you actually had. And that gap creates guilt.
Even if the weekend you had was actually fine. Even if you rested and enjoyed yourself.
Because it was not the imaginary perfect weekend, and somehow the imaginary one feels like the real standard.
And then there is a third ingredient, which connects to both of these. It is a kind of low-level sadness about the time ending. The weekend, even an imperfect one, has its own freedom. You get to decide more, move at your own pace more. And on Sunday evening, you can feel that freedom closing.
Like a door slowly shutting.
Yes, not all the way yet, but you can feel it moving.
Okay, so we have anticipatory dread about the week, guilt about the weekend we did not have, and a kind of quiet grief about the time ending. That is a lot of feelings for 5 o'clock on a Sunday.
It is a lot. And here is the part I find interesting. Where does this pattern come from in the first place?
Because it is very consistent, right? It is not random. It happens almost every week at roughly the same time.
It does. And I think a big part of the answer is conditioning. Conditioning. Conditioning is when your brain learns to connect a situation to a feeling through repetition. After enough repetitions, the feeling happens automatically when the situation appears.
Like, you do not decide to feel the Sunday feeling. It just shows up.
Right. And if you think about how many Sundays most of us experienced before school, before work, that connection between Sunday evening and something difficult is coming was being built for years and years. Every Sunday evening for 12, 13 years of school meant something ends here, something harder begins tomorrow.
So even now, as adults, when our Monday might actually be okay, or even good, the Sunday evening feeling still shows up.
Because the brain does not automatically update. It still runs the old response. Sunday evening, something is coming, feel the shift.
Even if the thing coming is just a normal Tuesday in disguise.
Even then, the feeling is not always a reliable signal about what Monday is actually going to be like. It is often more of an echo from the past.
Okay, I want to talk about the should have trap because I think this is where a lot of people make it worse without realizing it.
Yes, talk about this.
So when the Sunday feeling comes, one of the most common responses is to start listing everything you should have done. I should have exercised more this weekend. I should have called my family. I should have prepared for next week. I should have rested better. I should have spent the time differently.
And this feels productive, like you are learning from the weekend for next time.
But it is not productive. It is just adding more weight. You are not actually planning anything. You are just criticizing the weekend that already happened, which you cannot change.
And here is the thing about the imaginary perfect weekend. It was never really possible.
No, because the perfect weekend existed in a moment when you were tired from the week and optimistic about 2 free days. The actual weekend existed in reality, where you had energy levels and unexpected things and your actual mood.
The Friday evening version of you had plans for someone who does not really exist. And the Sunday version of you is judging yourself for not being that person.
That is a very kind way to put it. And also a little sad.
It is a little sad. And the should have list makes the Sunday feeling heavier, not lighter. You are not solving anything. You are just adding guilt to something that was already uncomfortable.
So what do you do instead?
I think the first useful thing is to just acknowledge the feeling without trying to immediately explain it or fix it. The Sunday feeling is real. It is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is not a sign that your life is bad. It is just a feeling that visits on Sundays.
It is a guest that shows up reliably. You do not have to love the guest, but you can let them in, put the kettle on, and not fight them.
That is a good way to put it. Trying to push the feeling away, scrolling your phone, keeping busy, avoiding being still, usually just delays it. The feeling is still there. It just comes out sideways later.
And I think sometimes the Sunday feeling is actually trying to tell you something useful.
That is the second thing. Treat it as information, not as a verdict.
Because if you feel that gap every Sunday, if the distance between the weekend you imagined and the weekend you had is consistently large, that might be telling you something about how you are actually living. Maybe you are not getting the kind of rest you need. Maybe there are things you keep putting off that actually matter to you.
The Sunday feeling is not about Monday. It is about the gap between who you wanted to be this weekend and who you actually were.
And that gap is information. Not a failure, information.
If the gap is mostly about rest, if you are exhausted and you keep using the weekend for productivity instead of recovery, that is telling you something. If the gap is about people, if you keep planning to connect with someone and it never happens, that is telling you something too.
It is pointing at something real. The mistake is to just feel bad about it without actually listening to what it is pointing at.
Right. Feel it. Take it seriously. Then ask, is there one small thing I can change for next week? Not a complete overhaul, just one thing.
One thing is manageable. A complete overhaul of your life by Monday morning is not.
Exactly. And the third thing, which is maybe the most practical, is to create a small Sunday evening ritual that helps you transition. Not to eliminate the feeling, but to have something to do with it.
What does that look like?
It can be almost anything, as long as it is intentional. A walk, a specific thing you cook on Sunday evenings, writing down 3 things you want to do next week, just 3, not a full list. A show you only watch on Sundays. Something that gives Sunday evening its own shape, rather than just being the end of something.
I have started going for a walk on Sunday evenings. Just 20 minutes. And something about moving, about being outside, seeing the day end, makes it feel less like something closing and more like a natural ending. Like, the day had a shape, and this is the shape of the end.
That is a really good way to think about it. The feeling is partly about transition. You are moving from one state to another, and transitions are easier when you have a ritual to mark them.
You are not trying to skip the transition. You are just giving it a container.
Yes, and one more thing. And I think this is important for anyone whose Sunday feeling is more than low level. If the feeling is very strong, if it is making it very hard to enjoy the weekend at all, if you are spending most of Sunday dreading the week ahead, that is worth paying attention to beyond a podcast.
Right. Sometimes the Sunday feeling is telling you that something about the week itself needs to change. Not your Sunday evening ritual. The actual thing that Sunday is dreading.
And that is a bigger conversation, but it is worth having.
Okay. To bring it all together, the Sunday feeling is a mixture of anticipatory dread about the week, guilt about the weekend you did not have, and quiet grief about time ending. It comes partly from years of conditioning, from all those school Sundays that trained your brain to feel a shift at this time of day. It is made worse by the should-have trap. And it is made more manageable by acknowledging it, listening to what it is pointing at, and giving Sunday evening a small ritual that makes the transition feel intentional.
You did not waste the weekend. You just had a different weekend than the one you planned for in your head on Friday.
And that is okay. The weekend you had was the one that was available to you.
The Sunday feeling will probably still show up next week.
It will, but you know it a little better now.
Go for that walk. See you next time.
Take care of yourselves.